It's Super Bowl Sunday. It's the unofficial holiday involving football, food, and television commercials. I asked Kathy about 2 months ago if she would let me bring the message today because it seemed the perfect occasion to talk about something that I've been thinking about a long time. The seed for this message was planted by my son Christopher in November of 2006. We were working on some basketball thing in the backyard when he became disgusted with me and started moping and gave a half-hearted effort. And I explained to him that if it wasn't important for him to work hard to get better, then it wasn't worth our time, and so I went inside. That night, he wrote me this note, which is behind me. And I've carried that with me ever since, trying to craft some response that was worthy of the innocence and the honesty of that note. What is important about competition and effort, and what does it mean to be a good person? This is probably as close as I'll get to the how to be a man speech, so this is it. I've been thinking about it a long time. Where do we experience competition in our lives? A better question would be, where do we not experience competition in our lives? Who reads the most books in the first grade? Who's the fastest kid in the neighborhood? Who makes the best jelly and wins the ribbon at the county fair? Who caught the most crappie, Ronnie or David? You never figure that out. Television is overrun with reality shows about competition. Shows like The Biggest Loser, American Idol, and Survivor have captured the American public's imagination. It's not just boxers and other athletes that find themselves immersed in competitive activities. It is all of us, every day, in broad swaths of our lives. Competition can bring out the worst in human nature. I remember several years ago when an Olympic skater, Nancy Kerrigan, was attacked by Shane Stant. He beat her on the leg with an iron pipe, forcing her to withdraw for the United States figure skating competition in 1994. In a twist that would be hard to make up, it turns out that Stant was hired by Jeff Gillooly, who was Tonya Harding's ex-husband, Tonya being another skater in the competition. And he was also hired by Sean Eckert, who was Tonya Harding's bodyguard. Tonya Harding won the event, but after the plot was uncovered, she had to sue the United States Olympic team to keep her spot on the Olympic team. Even though she was the first woman, American woman, to land a triple axel in competition. And if you don't know what a triple axel is, you'll have to ask Matt. He knows all the figure skating stuff. She came in 8th. And Nancy Kerrigan, who was awarded a spot, came in 2nd and got a silver medal. Harding was ultimately stripped of her United States figure skating win and was barred as a competitor or a coach or participant in any of their events. Her desire to win at any cost her what she wanted the most. How about the Texas high school cheerleader's mother, Wanda Holloway, who asked her brother-in-law to hire a hitman to kill the mother of a girl who was competing with her 13-year-old daughter for a spot on a Texas cheerleading squad. Holloway reasoned that if the competing girl's mother was killed, the 13-year-old girl would be so upset that she would drop out of the competition. Well, fortunately, she was unsuccessful, but she spent 6 months in prison, 9.5 years on probation, 1,000 hours of community service. Hopefully none of it is a cheerleading sponsor. There was a recent revelation about Mark McGwire's use of steroids as he broke the storied home run records of Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth. And then he lied about it for years. It certainly sours that accomplishment. And now Barry Bonds, who holds the record, is under investigation for steroid use. You know, they should just call it the most home runs hit while cheating, and then they wouldn't have to rename the category all the time. Those 3 stories of how competition brings the worst out in us, they seem kind of far away. but other instances are not. How about the high school or college student who cheats on a test to improve their grade and class standing? Or the parent who lies about their child's age so the child can compete against younger children in Little League Baseball? What we lose sight of as parents and participants is that it matters more how you play the game than if you win the game. A victory with an unfair advantage is not a victory at all. For every awful story there is about how competition makes us act like nuts, there are more stories about how competition helps us exceed our self-imposed limits. I remember my daughter Beth, the first year she played soccer, and I think it was her last year. She was so timid that we couldn't convince her to kick the ball. She ran around the field, and her only goal was to avoid the ball and any contact at all times. Well, one day, we were in the middle of a game, and if you've ever seen the littlest, the under 6 soccer, it's like a beehive of kids. They all go, the ball goes, they all go after the ball. And all of a sudden, Beth runs into the middle of the beehive and just kicks the ball with all her might. And then instead of following the ball, and I can see this in my mind, that she runs down the sideline, high-fives her coach, and all the other players, and the parents. And it was a beautiful sight. If you want to be inspired, there's nothing like the Special Olympics, where Olympians run and jump and play as hard as they can, so caught up in the joy of competition that the smiles on their faces just light up the field. And it is a beautiful thing to see. I remember when I was in medical school in Oklahoma City, this was 30 years ago, I was driving around in Chevette. The car was so small I had to drive around with my head cocked to the side. And I was listening to the radio broadcast of the United States Olympic hockey team defeating the Russians, a feat that only the people on the team thought they could accomplish. The game wasn't broadcast on TV, it was on tape delay. Some of you young people may not be familiar with tape delay. That's where you already know the score, but you don't watch it until later. It was such a remarkable accomplishment that the cover of Sports Illustrated, the only time in that magazine's 80 or 90-year history, showed a picture of the team celebrating with no caption or no headline. The photographer said it didn't need one. Everyone in America knew what had happened. It's still called the Miracle on Ice, and it was voted the greatest sports moment of the 20th century. Now, Rich Miller told me this story. I'm telling you is true, so if it's not true, you need to talk to Rich. But he was working in Minnesota and had a chance to meet several of the players from that hockey team when they were having a reunion at a hockey camp near where he was working. And he told me that the players unanimously thought that their coach, Herb Brooks, was a jerk. And not just, a little gruff. He was obnoxious and pushy and rude. He made them do hours of conditioning drills, well past the point of exhaustion. And the players were very unhappy about having to do something they saw no purpose for. Yet when they got to the Olympics, they were usually behind in the first and second periods, but managed to come back to tie or win in every third period. He pushed them out of their comfort zone, but it was one of the main factors in the reason that they were able to defeat that mighty Soviet hockey team, which nobody thought could be beaten. My friend Larry Gibson told me the hardest thing to do when coaching a young man in basketball is to help push himself to the next level. Every step up from junior high to high school to college to the pros, your opponents get stronger, faster, more focused, and tougher. Larry's a fierce competitor, intense and demanding. He cajoles these kids to go beyond what they think they can do. And he just won his 500th college basketball game. So, he's figured out that that's a real important thing to do. I'm going to have, I've never done this before, but I'm going to show a clip from a movie, A League of Their Own. And it's a movie about the Professional Women's Baseball League formed during World War II. Dottie is the best player in the league. Her coach is Jimmy Dugan. And Dottie